What's up, gamers? We're back with more Final Fantasy VII Remake. As promised, between parts, I did go ahead and run back up the stairs and take note of the names of the floors. I can't remember how much I touched on this in the last episode. Basically, my gamer instincts are telling me the game's giving you information that on the surface, it seems like information that's completely unnecessary for the game to provide. So I have two different theories as to why the game was providing that information. One of the theories, which has a non-zero chance of being true, is that it's just an Easter egg of sorts. So running up the stairs, floor number 10 is administration. Floor number 20 is research and development. Floor number 30 is urban planning. Floor number 40 is space and aeronautics. And floor number 50 is public security. In the original Final Fantasy VII game, in the Shinra building, there is a puzzle. I don't remember what floor it's on, but there's a point at which you reach a floor that's basically like the Shinra archives. It's actually also where the mayor of Midgar's office is. Something that they haven't really touched on in this game, and I haven't really been thinking about it, because in the original game you don't really find out that Shinra has a mayor. Obviously just a figurehead, just a puppet of the Shinra Electric Power Company, which controls all the infrastructure in Midgar. But there is theoretically a democratically elected mayor that has basically no power and has his offices in the Shinra headquarters. I think I want to say his name is Domino, but I might be pulling that. That's definitely a deep cut from the recesses of my brain. So I could be pulling that from a different game or different media. But let's, for the time being, call him Mayor Domino. Has his office up there. Now, when you talk to him, and he makes a joke about being a glorified librarian because his office is in the Shinra archives. But he basically says that he'll reward you if you can solve his riddle. He's super bored, so he gives you a riddle. Or a puzzle to solve. I don't remember the exact specifics, but it involves, there's basically 4 different sections of the Shinra archive that are divided based on which division the archives are for. And some of these 4 names, I'm almost 100% sure that research and development, urban planning, space and aeronautics, and public security are the 4 sections of the archives up there. If it's not those 4, it's something similar. I know for a fact space is one of the ones. Space and aeronautics was one of the ones, and public security is one of the ones. I'm a little less sure about the other 2, but so non-zero chance that the floors on the way up are just sort of an Easter egg for people who played the original game, because you hear about those divisions of Shinra Electric Power Company, but you only get to explore floors 59 and up in the original game. Looks like same deal in this game. So we just run past those floors. It might just be a nod to be hey, look, see, there is a designated space in these buildings for those divisions of Shinra that, it's just sort of implied that that those divisions are housed in the floors below the executive and restricted access floors. God, this view. So yeah. So that's one of 2 possibilities, is that it's just an Easter egg, oh look, see, here's the space and aeronautics and all these sections of the Shinra company that you knew existed, but you don't really get to interact with in the game. This is us acknowledging that, look, there's even space in the layout of the building for those things. But I think my gamer instincts are telling me that it's more than that, which is why I bothered to notate them down. I have a feeling that, like in the original game, these like division names are going to be part of a puzzle that I'm going to have to solve at some point. Either way, it took me like 30 seconds to do that. I have those names down now. So let's get back into the game, gamers. The way we left it off is that I basically talked to this hologram over here. The hologram gave me access to a bunch of floors, which kind of surprised me. But now we can sort of advance through this building. Oh, these are restrooms. How neat. So I guess step one is let's walk into an elevator. Let's walk into the elevator that we can actually walk into. Alright, so that elevator will only return me to the 3rd floor. So then besides the elevator, we have the right-hand side and the left-hand side up here. I'm a hug the left wall type of gamer for exploration. How about you guys?
Man,
are you right wall huggers?
Damn key cards just to get anywhere.
This is Shinra HQ. The hell did you expect?
Says the former company man himself. Guess you'd know about all the rules, regulations, and red tape. It's like coming home, huh?
Barrett, are you going to be like this the whole time we're exploring this building? Because I'm already a little annoyed. Like, shut up, bro. We've only had to get one key card so far, and it gave us access to, like, 5 floors. I need you to go back to the original game, Barrett, where you had to get a new key card for every single floor you wanted to advance.
Until Avalanche is stopped, it's only gonna get worse.
You got a problem with the Avalanche, buddy?
Until Avalanche
buddy,
is
what
stopped,
if I just run
it's
into
only
you?
gonna get worse.
Anyway.
It's just, when I think about what all those poor people must be going through,
Alright, that's an empathic response, so I'll give you a pass. Oh. Alright, well there's clearly a way to proceed there. Some fancy looking escalators. Let's just make sure I didn't miss anything here. You guys got some dialogue?
Before we put a new plate on.
They have no intention of putting a new plate up, buddy. It's funny, stuff's starting to blur, you know? I don't know if that's knowledge I have from the original game or that's knowledge I have from a cutscene that played in this game about them not caring to rebuild Sector 7, but I know what I know. Alright. Well, time to go upstairs, I guess. Let's, oh, some more people over here.
They're not sane, I know that much.
Who, Shinra? The executives that work in this building? I'm gonna pretend that's what you're saying so I don't have to kill you. Because, we all know that Avalanche is the sane ones here. The world just doesn't realize it yet. So this is very pretty, and I like, you know, a splash of green in the building. But stuff like this, I'm like, how are you providing, like, are there heat lamps in here to, I don't know. You know what I mean. This ish has got to photosynthesize. Is it a fake tree? What do you think, gamers? Sorry, I know I'm doing a lot of bojangling, but in this building especially, I do want to be careful about being thorough.
Wu-Tai's pulling their strings, you'll see.
Fuck you, no they're not. I mean, that's another thing, like, regarding the mayor of Shinra, or the mayor of Midgar. See, I'm even confusing things now in my speech. It's something that's not discussed very widely in the original game. About how, like...
Yes, every reactor, every pillar. Like I said, a full inspection. There's no telling what kind of damage there might be. If you see anything out of the ordinary, I want to know.
My man Reeve.
Sorry
Are we
to
going
bother
to get
you,
confirmation
sir.
that he's
No.
the one
Fine.
messing with the security
I brought the
feeds?
damage assessment for Sector 7 you requested. Sir, perhaps you should try and get some sleep.
No, not yet. I need to finish preparing my draft of the reconstruction plan before tonight's board meeting.
Oh, so we don't know that yet. In this game.
Whatever
My bad,
reasons they
gamers.
might have had, destroying an entire sector it's beyond the pale.
Director, I would strongly advise you not to say such things outside of this room.
Don't I know it?
Yeah, forget about outside of that room. I would say don't say such things while in this building, period. Who was that? I thought that was President Shinra for a minute, but that is some new character we've not met yet, I think. Spying on Reeve. I did not know stepping on this escalator was going to launch me into a crazy cutscene, so let's immediately go back down. Because I made the boo-boo gamers, and I accidentally advanced the main story when I wasn't emotionally prepared for that yet. Let's get firmly back into Skyview Hall here. Okay. So I was noticing that obviously the famous elevators from the original game are here. So theoretically I could just take an elevator up to the next floor. I was thinking like that might advance my game, so I was like, oh, I'll just take the escalator so we can take it slow, and then immediately fade to black into a cutscene. I was like, oh man, what did we do? Right, so I was, misremembering the order of events. In the original game, we eventually get to a point where we listen in on, basically spy on a board of directors meeting with President Shinra and Heidegger and Scarlet are all there. And I believe it's at that meeting that Reeve is like presenting on his plans to rebuild Sector 7, and President Shinra's like, we're not rebuilding. It's a very, sorry, I keep having to clear my throat today. It's a very significant line. Like, the line hits super hard in the original game, and you can see, like, even in the chibi animations, you can see the expression on Reeve's face. It's sort of like the moment Reeve becomes fully radicalized against Shinra, I think. I think like that's the straw that breaks the camel's back with him, is when he's told that they're not going to be even bothering to rebuild Sector 7, yeah. But what Reeve doesn't know, what I think has been kept from Reeve in his position, is Memorial Museum. This is probably going to be very interesting. What I was going to say is I think what's been kept from Reeve in his position is the whole thing about the Mako energy below Midgard drying up. And, like, they're already planning to basically abandon this city to build a new Midgar somewhere else where there's more Mako to extract.
What a world. Why do we even bother,
And just to be clear, that's not something that's been confirmed by the game. It's just some speculation I have. The game is certainly hinting at that being the case. But at this point, it's just me speculating. Memorial. Gamers, what do you...
Welcome to the Shinra building, our humble home.
Oh, hell no!
Here, in the Memorial Museum, you can learn all about our president, as well as the various divisions that make up the company. And of course, the city of Midgar, and the miracle of Mako energy. Whatever takes your fancy, you're sure to learn something new.
Yeah, shut up!
Interesting. Oh, shoot. This updated my main objective, too. Golly gee. I keep trying to not advance the story and accidentally proceed through the Memorial Museum and update the key card. Really? No, thank you. I'm not ready for all that ish yet. What if I wanted to go up further? What do you think about that game? You gonna stop me? In the original game, they just have this giant staircase that you run up all the floors. I like that they've turned it into like a bunch of escalators in this game. Very modern. 61st floor Visual Entertainment Hall, the Cosmos Theater. Interesting. So if I wanted to go in here, an authorized key card is required. Okay, I get it. Oh. Yeah. Cloud, can we... I understand. It's very much in the spirit of the first game, like... And now, in the original game, there is a Shinra, like, memorial type thing. The puzzle in that is basically, like... You're, like, restoring a skill model of Midgar, and every time you place a piece, a new chest unlocks, and you have to run around and figure out which chest unlocked, and... It's a very simplistic puzzle that is only complex because there's like enemies that random battles that you encounter on that floor for some reason. They obviously had to reimagine that sort of puzzle for this game because there's no random battles in this game. Anyway. Just taking a peek. Alright. Let's hug the left wall, gamers. You know how it is. The president.
I think I just threw up a little.
Man thinks very highly of himself.
There's a golden gun in a case. Very pretty looking. The president. Oh, is this... So maybe it was President Shinra I saw in that video. Although it kind of looked like... in grateful appreciation to Shinra Electric Power Company, in recognition of the something blah blah blah, I don't know. So is this supposed to be like the mayor and President Shinra? I've just it's been a little too long since I saw President Shinra, and last time I saw him it was hologram form, so I'm really not. There's some kanji I can't read. Here's presumably an early staff photo of sorts. I really want a good look at this photo particularly, if I can get it. Because there's a few interesting things I'm noticing. So I get rid of my UI elements a little bit. For example, obviously, in the very center front row, there's someone wearing a weird mask. It's quite interesting. If we go back row, second from the left, there's someone wearing black. Huh. Some random tools. You know, I really like museum displays like this in games, but I'll admit I'm a little disappointed that the developers didn't bother to put like plates that you can like. I should be able to interact with this, and it should just say some little blip about, you know, like the tools that helped build Midgar, or you know, like I'm not asking for much, but like I feel like I'm supposed to, from context clues, understand like what this is and what, like who these people are and what's happening in this picture, and also this. I'd really like to know about these things, but because there's no like placards on these displays that I can interact with, I really have no freaking idea what I'm looking at, and that's honestly quite disappointing. Like, it would not have taken a big development bucks for them to add something to give context to these scenes. But they unfortunately did not do that.
Hey everybody! How's the grand tour? I hope you're all enjoying yourselves. Wasn't it fun to learn about Shinra and our esteemed president? And to get a peek at the president's mementos? That was super cool!
This is quite interesting. I think it's showing me like basically the Shinra board and what they're in charge of. Like that's Palmer, by the way.
The next exhibit will teach you about the important work we do here by giving you a closer look at each of our divisions. I hope you're ready to be amazed, because you simply won't believe all the exciting adventures we have here.
There's President Shinra. Oh no! I was really looking forward to re-watching that and being able to commentate on it. Looks like that video is one and done. That's a shame. Like, again, this is another thing, like, I'm supposed to believe that that's something automated that happened when I walked down this hallway, but when I re-enter this hallway from the same end again, it doesn't trigger again. Like, why? Why, developers? What difference would it have made?
These all look
If
so
you just
familiar.
Because we've
let it play
destroyed a
again.
bunch of them already.
I sigh. I'm gonna try not to complain too much. I just I'm having some feelings about the way they're doing this museum section. because this would normally be a section of the game that I'm enjoying beyond belief because it's a huge lore dump, but they've decided to not do a lore dump here, or to like have a very curated and narrow lore dump instead of giving me a bunch of lore I can interact with, which makes me sad. Looks like I can interact with the Scarlet hologram. She's in charge of the weapons division of Shinra. Looks like we've got a Palmer hologram over here. Palmer's in charge of space and aeronautics. Oh, it actually tells me. Yeah, advanced weaponry, space and aeronautics. Interesting. Yeah, let's just go one by one. All right,
the
Scarlet,
advanced
tell me.
weaponry exhibit is currently undergoing maintenance. We apologize for the inconvenience.
Maintenance, huh? Is some of this ish about to come to life and attack me? That's what that means to me as a gamer.
Read this paper right here. Give me a moment. Welcome to the Shinra building. The Space and Aeronautics Division has taken rocket systems developed for military applications and adapted them to a different purpose. The search for new precious resources in the infinite reaches of space. That being said, since we have plenty of Mako at the present, those plans are currently on hold. It's a bit of a shame, really.
It really is. It really is a shame. I remember being a kid and having the very distinct, thought, a teenager when I originally played this game is what I mean. I remember having the very distinct thought, like, it didn't make sense to me why they were so reliant on Mako energy. Like, it seemed to me like Shinra could, with all their technical know-how, could definitely develop like solar power or wind power, like other alternative sources of energy. And then I grew up and and I realized that in real life, we face the same problem. There's plentiful solar and wind and other alternative sources of energy, even these days, as cheap or cheaper than other sources of energy, but we still, because it's so plentiful and because the infrastructure already exists for it, burning coal for energy and destroying this planet to very much like Shinra Power Incorporated to so that, very, very wealthy people that have already invested chunks of their wealth in infrastructure that's harmful to the planet can continue to harm the planet in order to and continue to profit off that infrastructure, even though making a change would ultimately, in the long run, be more economical and better for everyone. It's a real shame, real shame. This is so funny because it's like there's a little rocket in this case, and it's so like dumb looking. It's almost essentially a children's toy. There's like no detail to it. It's clearly just like, but they made it leaning. Eventually, in probably the next game, Rebirth, we'll get to Rocket Town, where there's a famously leaning rocket. This is definitely a nod to that. Very, very cute. All right, research and development. That would be Hojo.
Welcome to Shinra headquarters. My duties as Director of Research and Development are, in all likelihood, far beyond your ability to comprehend. So there will be no presentation, as it would be a waste of my time and yours. But rest assured, we are making great strides. Albeit not at this particular moment, because I'm filming this rubbish instead. I believe I've wasted enough of my precious time as it is. Science waits for no one, after all. So, good day.
Good day. I say good day. I believe this is supposed to be like a soldier. You know. Capital letter soldier. And then of course we have public safety or whatever as the last one. Heidegger. Public security.
The public security exhibit is currently undergoing maintenance. We apologize for the inconvenience.
It's funny, they have those maintenance messages, but you know that Heidegger and Scarlet are just too full of themselves to be arsed recording things for this nonsense. Like, at least Hojo was like, this is a waste of my time, so I'm not doing it. But he recorded himself saying that. But, like, you know, Scarlet and Heidegger were just like, don't bother me. Like, don't bother me with this ish. There's the famous motorcycle. What do we got here? Sector 8. Blueprints of a sort. What is this? Urban planning. I am extremely interested in this image right here. This image right in front of me right here, I have so much to say about it, but instead, like, I could probably talk for an hour about the implications inherent in this image here. But instead of spending an hour talking about that when this hologram may talk about it, let's interact with this hologram first, and then we'll talk about it.
Welcome to the Shinra building. Our mission here at Urban Planning is to supply the residents of Midgar with energy created from Mako. We also take pride in maintaining public infrastructure, the pillars and railways that run all throughout the city. Currently, we are working to construct an intraplate expressway. When this project has been completed, it will provide much easier access to numerous locations all across Midgar. We appreciate your patience and understanding in the meantime.
Alright, so he did not touch upon this at all, so we're going to talk about it, gamers. Because I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say about this image. I'm very curious what this is a picture of. There's a few different things that come to mind that this could be. It may have been like some original concept art for Midgar before it was actually built. But there's a few things about, like, obviously the building in the center of this image has the Shinra Power Company logo on it. So this may very well be concept art of an early Shinra. It has the building in the center. It has the general layout of the different reactors. And you can see that it does have the plate up above a lower city. In fact, this one has almost two plates, one on top of the other. There's a few things about this that make me think that this is maybe not a concept art for shit. Before I move on, another possibility is that this is a photograph of what Midgar looked like early on in its construction, before it had, been around for years and years and gotten caked in smog, and the reactors were finished, like before they finished building all the reactors, and when the land around the city was lush and green still and all that. But anyway, what I was about to say is I don't think that's what this is. I have a few different reasons for thinking that this is not Midgar that we're seeing here. One is the ocean. You can see that there is that this city, whatever city this is built upon the shoreline. I want to say that from this angle, the ocean would not be visible from Midgar, but maybe in the original game, the layout of this landscape here seems incorrect for Midgar, is what I'll say. Obviously, the area surrounding Midgar is completely drained, but if this is like an early photograph of Midgar, that would explain why that hasn't happened yet. Certainly, there's no Mako reactors here, but I think there's too many things about this, like the Shinra Power Corporation building at the center looks different. Everything here looks different than it does in actual Midgar. Besides the general shape, it's very different. I mean, we've got the two plates. We've got a very clean, like futuristic looking architecture here. We've got the ocean in the background. And we've got what looks like a lot of green space, built into the city. Anyway, my theory, gamers, is that this is what they already have in the planning stages for Neo Midgar. I think this is their concept for Neo Midgar. I think this is maybe even the landscape near Wutai. And this is an imagination of a new Midgar built on Wutai. But at the very least, I think this is them already planning the next city, the next Midgar. I genuinely think that's what this is. And it is such a cool image. Like, I'm sorry I'm spending so much time on this, but I'm so like blown away by this. It's so cool looking. And there's so much detail. I keep noticing new things about this. And this is, again, frustrating to me because I would love a placard here that I can interact with to tell me what this actually is, because all I can do is speculate. And I think I'm on the right track with what this is. But why would this be displayed in the museum with no explanation for what it is? It's unrealistic. It's immersion breaking. I don't like what. Why does it feel like they half-assed this museum? I don't know, gamers. I realize that here we're in the super late game, and they probably put a lot of time and effort into this building. They may have run out of time to add finishing touches to some of the areas in this section of the game. Unfortunate reality these days is that a lot of games go into development hell, and you end up feeling like the last stretch of the game is a little unpolished. And that's the feeling I get from this museum. Is that they had time to program all these new assets specifically for the museum and design this space, and they did a really good job with all that, and they designed the like little holograms and everything for this, and I get it, you know, it's a lot of work, but I do feel like someone on the development team must have been like, oh, we're not, you know, we need to add more, we're not done with the museum. And they were told, we've run out of time, we need you to start working on the next 4. You know? I did not notice this freaking helicopter up here before, that's crazy. Yeah, gamers, so I'm trying not to be that guy. Oh, look, test pods. Didn't notice those before either. I'm not trying to be such a negative Nancy, gamers. I just like... It's just the response of a gamer that really wants lore and feels like a lot of really heavy lore is being hinted at in this space. But there was no follow-through on that, so I don't actually get the lore, and it's making me... As a lore enjoyer, it's making me a little sad.
Impressive, wasn't it? I hope you enjoyed learning about our divisions and the wonderful ideas and solutions that are produced to benefit us all. Here at Shinra, we strive to ensure the safety of all residents around the clock.
What am I watching here? Is this just a visual representation of the Mako power being spread throughout the city? I think so. Yeah, see this? This is Midgar.
Now, moving along, the next exhibit will teach you all about the miracle of Mako energy and our reactors, as well as the city of Midgar itself. So come on!
Sorry, gamers. This is just a second. I just wanted to bring this visual up one more time. Like, that is not Midgar. That is definitely not Midgar. And now, if there's like, if they've super expanded this universe and there's another major metropolis run by Shinra Power Corporation out in the world that I'm going to eventually visit that looks like this, I take back all my criticisms. But so far, this game has led me to believe that, well, this trilogy is going to be a very faithful reproduction of the original game in most respects. They haven't really been like going deep on adding new locations or characters or anything like that, so I would be stunned and shocked and surprised if there was a whole like new city they added to the game, because the focus really seems to have been on reproducing and expanding faithfully the locations that already exist in the game, as opposed to adding new locations.
This is Midgar.
Ooh, here we go.
Recreated in 1/10,000th scale. As you can see here, the 8 Mako reactors form a ring around the center of our city and keep Midgar running day and night. The Mako which flows beneath our feet is a truly limitless resource. At Shinra, we have developed technologies to extract it and transform it into the fuel and electricity that powers everything we do. Thanks to the miracle of Mako energy, our lives are richer and better than ever before. Mako keeps our lights on at night and made Midgar into the city that never sleeps. A triumph of technology and testament to man's potential.
Nothing but a bunch of lies.
Except that Mako has made people's lives better.
It's made people blind. Blind to the cold, hard truth. Even I used to buy into their bullshit. Remembering that makes me even madder.
Yeah, very good propaganda in that it's mostly true. But there's a little teeny lie that they slipped in there. Mako is represents a truly limitless source of energy. No, it does not. It is very limited. And this is perfect because it dovetails right into what my theory is about how they're going to be expanding the lore of this game, about the Mako under Midgar drying up. Like, if they've been spreading this propaganda about it being limitless this whole time, like, even though it's got to be kind of obvious to people who are seeing the lifeblood being drained from the area surrounding Midgar, if the company line, if the propaganda line is that it's limitless, and they've been selling people on this idea that it's limitless, it would create all the more a sense of urgency for them to, find a new source. Find a new place to build. So this is very cool. This room is meant to be a reproduction of the Midgar model that serves as the puzzle on that floor in the original game. I talked on this towards the beginning of the museum. I mentioned it because I felt like this floor was meant to be representative of that floor from the original game, and this confirms that for me for sure. This is very interesting also, seeing this skill model of Midgar. They say it's a 1 in 1/10,000th skill model in the original game as well. They made it more believably so in this game by making this room much bigger feeling, because there's definitely kind of a, you sure about that? in the original game. I'm very curious about, like, beyond the Mako reactor ring, the model at least shows these like expansions, like haphazard looking expanded things that I don't know, like, are those real? Like, does Midgar really have those? Guess we'll see when we get outside Midgar in the next game, but it's certainly cool looking. Interesting. It's also interesting that in this room they're playing very softly playing, but playing nonetheless, a remix of the Sephiroth theme, which is kind of inappropriate, but I guess if you're looking for like some spooky, like, doom and gloom sounding music, good choice, I guess. One Winged Angel is what the piece of music I'm referring to. Yeah. I don't think that we have this.
Congratulations! You can call yourself a proud Shinra scholar. Now, moving along. Next, you'll learn about our progress in advanced science and technology. Please proceed to the 61st floor, the Visual Entertainment Hall.
Oh. Oh, so the next floor up is supposedly like a continuation of the museum, which is why it... Oh. I mean, I guess there's a back
Welcome
stairway
to
here.
the Visual Entertainment Hall, where
I
we
see no reason
showcase
to not go
Shinra's
this way.
cutting-edge technology. Through an immersive visual and audio experience, please relax and enjoy the show.
Okay, and so does this just take me out?
Please stay and enjoy the show.
Oh, it literally won't let me leave. Okay, fair. Yeah, let's go. Oh, sweet, IMAX. Getting the full IMAX experience.
This place is empty. What the hell? Whoa.
Very cool and impressive, like, holographic technology. This would be a wild and amazing audiovisual experience to have. I love this cutscene actually so much.
In the distant
Ooh, we're getting to see outside.
Our planet was home to a people we call the Ancients.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
Many millennia before we discovered Mako, these precursors were already pioneering its use. Somehow they learned of the great reservoir of energy pulsing beneath their feet. And once they had, the Ancients developed the means to harness this bountiful energy and bend it to their will. The fruits of their labors have survived to this very day in the form of certain kinds of materia. Their scripture, too, has endured. We who are born of the planet, with her we speak, her flesh we shape. Unto her promised land shall we one day return. By her loving grace and providence, may we take our place in paradise. Alas, the Ancients themselves are long gone. 2,000 years ago, a meteor brought an end to their civilization. But before their fiery end, did the Ancients find their promised land? Even now, we have only to wonder. Times have changed, and the Shinra Electric Power Company is committed to changing and evolving with them. Like the Ancients, we have harnessed the power of Mako. Are they out there watching us, waiting for us to join them in some blessed corner of the world? A green and verdant land where boundless Mako energy will provide for our every need. Shinra is working for you to fulfill the hope of the Ancients and lead us to that promised land. We shall not rest until our dream is realized.
That it?
Sephiroth. Oh dear, oh dear. A man of my refined taste running out of butter. Shorn of its proper accompaniment, this tea might as well be boiled pond water. No, it couldn't possibly have been...
Crazy ass thing made me want to puke. And not just because of the presentation, but the content too. Ought to come with a warning. That ain't for kids.
That wasn't just a movie.
That huge meteor, what was that about?
Like I said, nothing you should show a kid.
Alright, gamers, it took everything in me to not pause like 100 times during what I would say is the most important cutscene they've shown in the entire game so far. There was so much there. I will be re-dissecting that cutscene and rewatching it on my VOD and like analyzing every frame. Wow. It's all just like bouncing around in my head right now. So much, like, prepare yourself, gamers. Like, now's the time to skip to the next part if you don't want to hear me talk about lore for the next like hour, because holy crap. Let's start from the end and work our way back. First of all, it seems like Barrett and Tifa saw that shite at the end, which is very confusing to me because I was so certain that was a Cloud hallucination. It definitely an interesting choice. For someone playing this series for the first time, that whole thing is going to be a curiosity. And by whole thing, I'm only referring to what happened at what is clearly meant to be the actual end of that audiovisual presentation, when suddenly like Sephiroth took over the visuals somehow. And so many crazy things happened. We got a few frames of Aerith making the prayer again for Holy. Like, I don't know how much I should even talk about this, because if you're watching this as someone who is like really enjoying the remake trilogy but has not played the original game, and is just curious like what the remake trilogy is like for someone who has experienced the original game, like that scene gets into a lot of like disc 3-ish that won't even have been covered in the games that they've released yet for the remake trilogy. So I just about Meteor and the Ancients and all that stuff, that's like, that was just that was crazy. That whole thing was crazy. We got to see like Tifa laying on the ground like she does after Sephiroth attacks her, which is something that will happen in Rebirth, or at least that gamers will get to see happen in Rebirth. So I'm okay saying that. A lot of that was for me, for the person who's played the original game. Like, that tells me a lot more than it would tell someone who's playing the remake trilogy at this point in the game. A lot of that would be like mysterious and confusing imagery. But to me, all of that has so much meaning, and it's like, how much of this do I discuss, you know? I may even cut out the part of my my commentary here where I mentioned that. So if you're confused what I'm talking about now, it's because I did cut that out.
Yep.
Very interesting. And then obviously the most interesting thing about that to me was the Ancients. In the original game, the Ancients are very much treated like characters from fairy tales. Like, they're not like a real civilization that existed. but it looks like in this version of the game, Shinra more so treats them like a known historical fact, and they don't shy away from that history. They just, propagandize themselves as like continuing the mission of the ancients to harness Mako energy, which is a really like a very much corrupting the actual history of the ancients. But just the visuals of the ancient civilization, it showed the hub of the ancient civilization, which is a place that you end up visiting in the game. And you end up visiting it at the end of Disc 2, so I assume that is in Rebirth, but they show it like in its heyday, and then they show it like over time it, fell into ruin, and they discuss Meteor, which is interesting. That Meteor took out the ancient civilization, which is something you learn about in Disc 2 of the original game. Well, mostly in Disc 2 of the original game. There was like some really interesting visuals, like just that whole scene with the ancients. They had like their version of airships we got to see. We got to see them creating materia, which is really cool. We got to see them sort of naturally interacting with Mako energy wells. It floored me. That whole thing floored me. I'm going to be rewatching that like a dozen times between recordings, because that was crazy, and especially that bit at the end. And so it is important to discuss that bit at the end. And if I did end up cutting out the part where I mentioned some spoilers that I maybe shouldn't have, it at the very least is significant that Barrett and Tifa seemed to experience that with me. It also kind of looked like we were maybe seeing the origin of the Wraiths and stuff. Cloud keeps getting these visions of the future and what have you, and I think I'm sort of getting this feeling like they're trying to go with this, like, this has all happened before thing. Oh, and I can't even forget that after all the crazy cutscenes, there was another cutscene with Palmer, who apparently drinks butter tea, which is a very interesting beverage. If you've never tried it, you should try it at least once. I tried yak butter tea when I was traveling in Tibet, and not for me. But it's definitely, some cultures do put butter in their tea, and it's, well, anyway. I'm getting off on a tangent. Sephiroth, Sephiroth walked by Palmer, and Palmer was, like, so startled and was like, no, I can't have seen that right. Like, that can't be Sephiroth. I know, with my future knowledge, that Sephiroth is in the building, or comes to the building while we're here rescuing Aerith. That's what's to come. But it was very cool to see, like, that visual. Like, he's theoretically already entered the building. He's here right now. He's making his way to President Shinra as we speak. So it's cool to see that parallel, because you only get to see the aftermath in the original game. Yeah, wow. Wow. That was insane.
Congratulations! You can call yourself a proud Shinra expert! Your mission is to everyone about the wonders of Shinra. Next, you'll be visiting the repository for Shinra's expertise and know-how. Please make your way to the 62nd floor, the corporate archive.
What the?
Greetings and welcome. Avalanche, I presume. My name is Hart, and it's a pleasure to meet you. I've come to escort you to Mayor Domino, per his request.
It is Mayor Domino, and this is
Midgar,
the assistant
empty
mayor,
suit
or
that's just
deputy
a
mayor.
mouthpiece for Shinra?
Yes. The mayor of our dear Midgar. The most magnificent city ever built. That Mayor Domino. The visual entertainment hall has been experiencing technical difficulties of late, and he suspected that these difficulties might impede your progress.
So what does the mayor want with us?
I'm afraid you'll have to ask him that yourself.
Guess we're supposed to follow.
All right, this looks to be yet another long cutscene, so I do want to pause and so this is interesting. So in the original game, like I mentioned, there is a floor that's like the corporate archives where Mayor Domino's office is. Obviously, this is all playing out. You know, like we're advancing to the next floor now. It is the Shinra archives. Mayor Domino is there. He wants to meet with us. Very interesting twist that he sent someone out to find us in the exhibit and bring us to him. A little more proactive on his part than what happens in the original game. I also think this guy, the deputy mayor here, was the one watching that security feed of Reeves. All right, let's continue. I will say I don't very much like these cutscenes that take me to a different place in the building because I feel like I'm missing exploration, but it's fine. I'm sure we'll get to free wander around again soon enough. Although there's been very little like free roaming in this building so far. It's been a lot of very curated experiences. We'll see what happens. Corporate archives, all right. Wow.
Look at this place. So what? You telling me the mayor's some kind of crazy bookworm?
Yeah, some kind of crazy bookworm, indeed, Barrett. I'm sorry I keep pausing. Like, I'm trying to, I'm relieving myself from all the pausing I wanted to do in that last cutscene, but I held off on. So I'm getting some of my some pause frustration out by pausing a bunch during this cutscene. This is great. I really love this reimagined corporate archives. In the original game, it was like 4 small rooms with like each room had like 6 bookshelves in it, and it felt like a very small area to have like Shinra corporate archives, which with all the research and the R&D and like stuff that they do should by all accounts be massive, a massive like library type room. So I love how they've reimagined it for this game. Very cool. And yeah, Barrett talking about how he's a glorified librarian. I think he's going to make that same point himself when we speak to him. So they, of course, have this negative impression of the mayor because he's basically just a puppet. But the mayor's not too keen on that himself. Ooh, secret passage? Or just like a fancy way of doing the stairs for this area, I guess.
Through here.
If this is a trap, you're a dead man, you hear?
Alright, gamers, I'm going to say, based on new information, I'm changing my theory about... because we sort of see this guy, the deputy mayor here, monitoring the camera feeds. Or maybe it was even the mayor with a similar look, monitoring the camera feeds and spying on Reeve. I now think it's the mayor or the deputy mayor that's responsible for masking our entrance to the building and keeping security off our tails up to this point. Like where he was manipulating the video feed, and that like one frame of that I went on and on about in the last part. It's now my theory that it's these guys involved in that, involved in a little bit of a coup of sorts. And it's sort of hinted at in the original game that the mayor's dissatisfied, and when he realizes who you are, he just would rather help you than because he's so bitter than try to defend Midgar or Shinra or any of that. So I like that they're making it more involved in this game. I think this is a really cool plot device to have the mayor sort of like aware that we're in the building, more aware than anyone who works for Shinra that we're in the building, and he's decided to help us. Very cool.
The mayor
what's
is
up?
waiting.
Yeah,
The
okay.
mayor is waiting.
Yeah. Alright, well, I'm gonna... Oh, actually, do I have any freedom right now? Let's find out.
The mayor is
Guardrails,
waiting.
I assume? Very heavy guardrails. Okay. Let's go in here. I presume this is going to be yet another cutscene. Yep.
This can't be right.
Ah, wonderful. You finally made it. I am the mayor of the great metropolis of Mako.
It was him. It
Domino,
was
at
him
your
watching the video
service.
feed.
I must say you three haven't exactly been discreet.
Huh?
I wonder who's been cleaning up all your messes.
My theory's about to be confirmed.
Come on, think about it. You've been caught by security several times, walked in front of every other camera, and scared an accountant half to death. Do you hear the alarm? No? You're welcome. I can only assume your cell wasn't looped in. I am Avalanche's man on the inside.
Say what?
Huh. Is it really that surprising to you?
Not surprising to me at all. This is amazing lore. I love this. I love this conceptually. And also another mention about how we're just one of the cells of Avalanche. It's really implied to be a larger organization in this game, which I also love. I love this. I love everything that's happening in the scene. I just had to say that. Let's
You've
continue.
seen where they put me. The mayor
Yeah.
of the greatest city in the whole wide world.
Is he gonna say
tucked
glorified
away in a
librarian?
secret broom closet in the damned archives. The nerve. Those stupid Shinra pricks thought I'd just shut up and accept their treatment. But they were wrong. Dead wrong.
Huh. Well, this ought to make things easier.
We need to break into Professor Hojo's lab.
What? Why? You mean you're not here to give President Shinra his comeuppance?
He thought we were here to
We're
assassinate
here to
the
save a
president.
friend
That's
who
funny.
was taken.
But the president's gonna get his too, if I have anything to say about it.
Well, I don't particularly care what you end up doing, so long as it hurts Shinra.
Great.
My man.
So, I can get you as far as the 64th floor.
Hold up. You telling me that that's the best you can do?
That is indeed the best that I can do.
But you're the mayor.
But you're the mayor? Does this look like the office of a mayor? I'm a glorified librarian.
Yes, he
nothing
said it!
more.
He
They don't even
said it!
invite me to their meetings. Sorting records and reports. That's all I do. My hands and fingers have more paper cuts than skin.
I don't know
one
why that
knows
was so
my
satisfying
pain,
to
my
me.
daily torment. They've made me a pathetic shell of a man.
Okay, they did you
I
wrong
love
like
this
us,
character so
but
much
we'll
right
make
now.
it right. So just calm down. Deep breaths, man. Deep breaths.
Oh my god, this is amazing.
Let me see that key card of
This
yours.
is so amazing. Yeah, upgrade our keycard one floor further. I love this so much. I don't think there's any way to emphasize how much I love this.
Here you are. You can now use it to access the recreational facility on the 63rd floor.
Oh, right, yeah, the gym and the lockers.
And then what are we supposed to do?
You look for a fellow Avalanche collaborator. Identify yourselves and he'll give you a key card to the 64th. The countersign is, the mayor is the best. Midgar's mayor is nothing less. Everyone says he's cooler than the rest. Just
The
say
mayor's the
mayor
best.
to the guy. And if he goes, the best, with gusto, then you've found your man. You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
If you think you've found the collaborator, say mayor, and see if he says the best. You got it now?
Yeah, I do. Can I look around your office, Mayor? Certificate of Merit, this maybe says. The Confederacy of... No, I can't read any of that. This is the Something of Honor. With the British spelling of honor. At least they give him access to all these security feeds from his office so he can have something to watch while he's being a glorified librarian. It's so funny. I love that. I'm so glad that I mentioned the glorified librarian line before we got to meet Mayor Domino. And I remembered his name was Mayor Domino. I'm glad I didn't pull that out of my butt too. Apparently that I'm so happy. This has all made me very happy. Alright, let's exit. I'm hoping it's going to give me a little more control of my characters now. Because we've been stuck in basically a prolonged cutscene for quite a big chunk of this.
If you require additional assistance, please do not hesitate to ask.
So can you tell us anything about this collaborator?
Oh my god.
Certainly I could do just that, but a man in my position must conduct his affairs with discretion. Which is to say that which has been requested cannot be freely given, if you take my meaning.
You want money!
Disclosing confidential information entails considerable risk. Due compensation is to be expected. In this particular instance, that would amount to 10,000 gil.
Rip us off more, why don't you?
No.
Do feel free to come again at any time.
That's funny. That's a fun throwback to the original game. So, I mentioned how in the original game there's a puzzle in the archives where you have to... essentially, there's those 4 rooms that make up the archives. And each room, there's these 6 bookshelves you can interact with. Each bookshelf, because remember, this is 1997 game. Each bookshelf, when you click on it, you can only read 2 books from each bookshelf. The titles of the books, I should say. And so the title of each book has a number followed by the title of the book. So what you have to do is you go around to all these themed libraries. Like one will be like the Space and Aeronautics archive, right? So you go into that archive, and then there's a book about chocobo breeding, and you're like, that doesn't fit in this archive. So you look at the title of the book, and it will be like 3 chocobo breeding in you. So then you're like, oh, the number 3. So then you pick the 3rd letter, which would be like an O for chocobo breeding in you. And so basically you got 1 letter from each room, which is like the book that doesn't belong in that room gives you the letter. and then that forms a cipher. That's a cipher where you have to, it forms an anagram, and you have to solve for what the word is. Basically, when you talk to Mayor Domino the first time in the original game, he's basically like, I'm bored and I hate Shinra, so if you manage to guess my secret passphrase on the first try, I'll give you a special prize, and if you manage to guess it at all, I'll give you access to the next 4. Obviously, it's way cooler, infinitely cooler, the way they're doing it in this remake. I love this. I love everything about this. But in the original game, if you're stumped, if you're like not understanding how, because they don't explain to you that thing I said about the numbers and the letter in the book title and the books being in the wrong rooms and everything I just mentioned, the game does not tell you any of that. It is just 4 rooms. You can interact with the bookshelves. You can interact with the sign outside the room to find out what the subject matter of that room is, but it doesn't tell you that you're looking for books that are out of place. It doesn't tell you that the number in front of the title means anything. It doesn't, none of that is known. It's a very difficult puzzle to solve unless you look it up, or unless you're familiar, you're on a subsequent playthrough of the game you've already played through before. But in that puzzle area, you can talk to the assistant mayor, and he'll offer to give you hints about the mayor's puzzle if you bribe him. So this right here, I'm definitely not going to bribe him. How hard could it be to go up a floor and talk to people until someone says, the best? Maybe we'll come down here if it ends up being more complicated than that, but this is definitely intended as a throwback to that. I imagine if we gave him the 10,000, he'd be like, oh, it's a guy wearing a red shirt. And we'd be like, we need more than that. And he'll like, well, I could tell you more for 20,000. Which is how it works in the original game. He gives you one clue.
I still can't believe the mayor is working with Avalanche.
Would have been nice to know. Idiots at HQ should have kept us in the loop.
Yeah, I agree with that. Although that definitely strikes me as a need to know upper echelons of Avalanche type of thing. It bothers me that in the original game they sort of play it like Barrett's the leader of Avalanche, and they do hint that there are maybe other Avalanche cells about, but I really like this conceptually, the idea of Barrett's just this guy, just a freedom fighter, and because he wants to be a little more extreme than the rest of Avalanche, he forms a separatist cell. But yeah, it's an interesting take on things.
Mayor, very fast.
That's fun. That's a fun thing. Yeah, so he'll give you a clue, and then if you ask him for another clue, he doubles the amount he asks for it. So I imagine this is a similar situation. Also, cute that the game gives you 3K here, oh, you're a little broke to bribe the mayor's assistant. Here's some money. I obviously can't interact with any of the books here, like you can in the original. Not that that's important. In the original, it's, because of the puzzle. In this game, it wouldn't make a lot of sense for them to let you interact, because if they did, then they would only be able to let you interact with a very few in this gigantic freaking room. And that would seem kind of weird in and of itself, so... Unlike in the museum, where I was very disappointed in... Mayor, the best. Mako, explosive. We're gonna do some more note-taking, gamers. My gamer instincts are telling me. Mayor, the best. Mako, explosive. If all the robots in here had just said Mayor the best, I would not have taken notes, because I would have been like, yeah. Just the game, funny way of the game reminding you about the...
Shinra, very bad.
Shinra, very bad. I think this is probably just a tongue-in-cheek joke because the president who's in charge of this area has reprogrammed all these bots to say inflammatory things.
Mayor, very bad.
Or like things that give you a hint as towards the mayor's true nature.
Mayor, explosive.
I'm more and more thinking this is just a funny joke. But I am going to write down all these.
Mako, explosive.
Alright, I think we're back at the start. Looks like there's no way for me to get down into this center area. That's all blocked off on all sides. That's the way up to the mayor's office. Just making sure I don't miss anything in here, gamers. I think I'm almost done exploring this area. This is presumably the way back out. Oh, and perfect. So we're back at the escalators here, which is fantastic. I am going to go back down because there is a few things I didn't feel like I had adequately explored on the previous levels. Very specifically in the Cosmo Theater here. Alright, so I can now open this. As I suspected, it just brings me into this room. Can I re-watch that cutscene if I go back in here? I suspected I would not be able to, but I will admit that I was very hopeful it would let me do that. Guess we're just going to be re-watching the VOD a bunch between recordings. Speaking of between recordings, I think a lot has happened in this part, and I'm at the usual recording length that I'm trying to shoot for, an hour and a half. And we just finished like a million cutscenes, so before I go up to the next floor and experience more cutscenes and more stuff and try to find out who this Shinra double agent is, I think this is a good place to end this part, because I want to immediately go and watch my VOD and watch that cutscene about a dozen times. So mentally prepare yourself if you're watching this on YouTube and the next part's already out. When you go to that part, you're going to hear me discussing the lore for the first like 30 minutes of that video, because I am definitely going to go frame by frame through that cutscene and have a lot to talk about in the next part. But for now, thank you all for watching. I hope you all having a great day, and I will see you next time.